I remember how like earlier I was vlogging in the space behind me and I was walking because it looked like a bunker in a medieval era, like in a Renaissance theme. And so it was hard doing it because there was all these bugs who kept biting me. And like now since it's 4 degrees outside and we're not going to be here, but it's kind of a new idealism where a worse bug than just the classical ones are out to get everyone. And so the more that they're able to get pesticides, they're able to get connecting the unconnectable in order to stop bugs across all land. I think that just mathematics, the most boring thing in the world, needs a new kickstart. And so you know what, I'm willing to teach what I know, and it might not be much, but it's definitely better than anyone currently. Okay, so what I was mentioning earlier is string theory, and in string theory the problem with it is that there's 11 dimensions, and why there's 11 can be condensed more if you just put strings in terms of lights as photons. A photon's lights, a string could be in that, and it could cut 11 dimensions down to 3. Okay, so in corruption there's a thing called a death cult, and this is where they've been around since forever. How they would have infinite examples to reign in one thing, it would be the devil as a human. That would be the worst thing, and it's bound to happen in Christianity one time. So this is ostensibly a hairball theorem, where infinite amount of hairs on a ball are combed over, one will always stick up. That one that's always stuck up is that the devil gets one shot at being a human figure, and that's the Antichrist. And so what the death cult will do is hone in that, and their best system is the mark of the beast, and that would be through infinite amount of examples. And addressing a lie group again is something kind of introverted, where a spectacle is better lens in saying that 1,000 times is more than like one. Let me try this here. A skeptic would say infinite amount of times would produce any result. It's whereas if you have a giant cold of apes and you throw down it's a noisy one today. If you have a typewriter and you throw it in a giant horde of apes, and then in like infinite amount of time they will produce a play Hamlet perfectly at least once. This is impossible because pregnancy test on the ground, and now I'm seeing even more sketchy material. If you know what this is, make sure not to do this. No, that would be an interesting casing for a shotgun shell. Do you know how many different types of shotgun shells could be articulated to do different things? It's not just the sawed-off shotguns that spray and are more lethal. It's how you can put stuff inside of the shotgun shell that is powder or jelly that's flammable. And in calculating this, you're also able to illegally shorten the barrel of the gun because it's so heavy, and then it'll make it shoot out lighter because the interaction between more combustion and a lighter traverse can be calculated with like an infinity Lie group, and the infinity Lie group is something in between where you can't hit a receiver after 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, but within the 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, you're able to hit him and throw him on the ground even. But then you can't touch him until the ball is within arm's reach. And once the ball is within arm's reach, you can tackle him. And so it's this hitbox of the interplay between the line of scrimmage and then the ball coming within 10 feet, arm's length of the receiver. I'm thrown off today because I threw up yesterday so hard that I knew whatever I was going to eat next was going to be thrown up also. But I knew that, like, while laying down to get up and eat something, I was going to pass out if I didn't. And so that was extreme. And so the name of the game was trying to hold down the thing that I ate so I could absorb its nutrients into my body before throwing it up. And I think that's what allowed me to regain energy quicker, but I'm still knocked off my horse from yesterday and trying to puzzle sentences together about complex math that no one likes to talk about in public while it's 4 degrees. So the interplay of this hitbox is kind of abstract, where the wide receiver can adjust his speed to go quicker after the line of scrimmage. Is kind of like how a shotgun, when you're taking off its barrel, you're seeing where your aim is going to be skewed at. So if the inches you're taking off the inches down is the exchange of the interplay from a wide receiver acceleration. The bullet, it's not like traveling as much of a distance, but it's calculating the punch of the impact that'll be calibrated in order for it to be, straighter or spray out distancer. I had a sensation that I felt just yesterday where I didn't eat anything and then I drank way too much espresso, and then I was perfectly fine because I'm acclimated to it. But then in a few hours I just started puking, and then I couldn't stop, and the puke that I was throwing up, it had caffeine so much in it that I felt like I had just started drinking it all over again. And so the flushing of this in and out is a phenomenon like a Lie group, because it's a circle in either direction. First off, to get a little more excitation, is that the math community, they have derogatory terms, and it's really interesting when they're invocated in terms that most people don't know but should. There's a thing called the Lie group, and this is important because it is able to categorize things that you wouldn't think are associated, but they clearly are. And when you have lay people, I think that's, I don't know what it means, but it's definitely a derogatory term associated with the Lie group. Here is a tire, and it has been unshredded, where the math behind it has something as though a great amount of pressure is the cost at why it unwound. And so if you were to deduct at what point did it lose in order to become a strip instead of a wheel, this is something algorithmically is undoubtedly within it. So you know it's cutting edge? A lit backdrop. Right behind me is Fire Ridge. That's awesome. But something even cooler than that is mathematics, is when in mathematics there's pseudo math, and there's a whole way of articulating the math of pseudo, and it's widely overlooked. It's called algorithmically, and it's like an equal sign because it's always shut out but is having a whole entire thing behind it. So like nails on a chalkboard, your bottom of the shoes can make on ice crunching when it's really cold out a really irritable noise. And it can make even different noises if it's a different type of snow on the ground. Push harder onto the cement. This is what Indians would utilize in order to combat things that are not the truth.